Power and powerlessness. The human species has frenetic impulses and impulses. This probably comes from the winds, waters, and sunspots, or from the imperceptible radiation that more or less promotes chemical exchanges. All animal species also have their long, slow seasons, the effects of which are difficult to perceive. But the human species carries a kind of indicator needle that amplifies these movements, it is thought. As soon as the species feels powerful, growing, elastic, the needle jumps and reaches unusual degrees, which until then were not shown on any dial. These movements still astonish the old barometer dealers. Average pressures of thought correspond to commonplace places, and the needle moves back and forth around a known position. Now, leaders are the most sensitive of all thought indicators, firstly because they venture a little further than logic allows, but also because the rule they set for themselves always carries them a little further than they had hoped. They are powerless to communicate, which is like a disgrace of understanding. It is this kind of illness that makes us doubt that we are understood, and we want to make sure that we are understood first. The misunderstood express themselves without happiness, they think softly, they think little. To think with contempt is not to think. It is true that men are different and incomprehensible to each other, and that he who wants to learn must first believe that he can learn. Time is at the heart of action, and leaders must know how to master it accurately and effectively in all areas: knowledge of past situations, understanding of present situations, organization of work and people, strategies, projects, and decisions. The history of the world is a history of power relationships. It is a succession of dominations and bids varying according to demographic, economic, technological, and environmental changes. Each era, marked by a technological advance, corresponds to the emergence of a continent and the disappearance of another, a nation or a people. The eternal repetition of these cycles is the best proof of the ephemeral nature of power. As we know today, acquired situations have only time. In the very long as in the very short, in the infinitely great as in the infinitely small, the technical mastery of time appears as one of the essential facts of the progression of our civilizations, and it is a reason for the struggle of the games and the stakes of power. In the last century, man has entered a race against time. Time has become a source of income and money. Time can be bought and is worth gold. In the case of industrial manufacturing, we are today in the just-in-time revolution. The speed of the conveyor's movement conditions, at constant volume, the strength and rhythm of men's work. Work rates do not depend on a referenced standard corresponding to the capacity to make some pieces per day, defined by men for men, but on machines that dictate the rate at which men work to produce a product or a service faster than the competition. The just-in-time flow does not only involve the person who carries out the task, but a set of indirect actors in charge of ensuring the continuity of the flow: supervisor, planner, manager, etc. The civilizations that dominate the world today are those that know how to manage time and the time of others. Those that are unable to do so, either because of a lack of technology or skills or for cultural reasons, disappear from the international world and die forgotten by other nations. In these civilizations, the man who masters time possesses the power. The conquest of power. 8 passions are carried